Hi everybody, welcome back to Vlogmas. It is about that time where we talk about our lineups, our planner stacks, our planner gangs, our planner systems, if you will, for 2023. I did a video relatively recently in the last couple months talking about how I evaluate and observe myself in order to make decisions as to what planner I want to use. And I will link that video down below. It is a really excellent exercise in self-evaluation and making choices based on how you do things, not just on the new shiny that you see on Instagram. So I have been kind of in a spot of trying to decide what I want to do for next year for the past month or so, maybe 2 months even. And the funny thing is that I actually knew right away what I was going to do for certain aspects. Like there were some things that were not in question whatsoever. And then there were other things that were extreme question marks. So you'll see as we go through this, you'll kind of have an idea of what's what, but I'll be sure to let you know. Anyway, let's get right into my system. And I want to say up front here that some people like to use 9 planners. Some people like to use 1 planner. I'm not judging anybody. I might judge, but I'm not going to judge anybody on camera. Do what works best for you. And this is what I hope will work well for me based on my own self-evaluation and my own experiences, especially this last year when my planning took kind of a shift. I feel like I have learned from that shift and I am now moving forward, making choices as best as I can. So with all that being said, let's jump right into it. And I'm going to kick it off before I show you any of the planners by just saying that my digital solutions are staying exactly the same. My digital solutions and my Kanban board are staying exactly the same. Google Calendar, ClickUp, and my Kanban board are all going to just keep functioning. I mean, I may tweak them. I always do, but they're not going anywhere. They have been working really, really well for me. If you are interested in me doing a video showing you kind of how I plan things, let me know in the comments. I will also let you know that I really hope to do a plan as you go month in February of 2023 to show you all my systems together. However, it depends on how I'm doing with dialysis, so we shall see. Now that we've talked about those things, the Kanban board, the Google Calendar, the ClickUp, those things staying the same. They're not changing. They're working for me. But let's go into my personal planning and my goal setting system, which should be no surprise to anybody. This was the easy one. This was the no-brainer for me this year, and that is the Moxie Life flagship vertical weekly with my cover on it. I will link that video below if you hadn't heard that, but this cover is one that I did in collaboration with them. They call it their Blackberry Fields cover. The only thing that was keeping me from using, like even the wire O binding isn't going to really bug me that as much as like it might. The thing that was going to keep me from using the flagship was whether or not these colors here, these like greens or whatever that they have on the monthlies, were going to continue onto the habit trackers in the weekly. And I'm not even afraid to say it. Some of it was my feedback that they changed it to neutral. And so that was what gave me the flagship as my planner for this year. I'm a little worried about the sticker bump, about how chonky this is going to get with a full year in this planner, but we'll worry about that when we get there. So yes, this planner will be my personal planner for my personal life, and my goal setting planner for my personal life. This will be where I keep my health notes. I'm not going to do a separate journal for, stuff with dialysis. I'm just going to use this guy. There is note pages in the back that I can use. There's the weekly reflections pages that I can use if I have to. Instead of reflecting, I can always use them for notes or whatever. There's plenty of extra space in this planner to make notes for my health stuff. If dialysis becomes overwhelming and I need another notebook for it, I have plenty, but the plan is just to use this as like home base for everything that is not work related in my life, including my goals. The other no-brainer for me is that I'm going to continue to use the HB90 system. By the time you see this, I will have already gone through the boot camp, but I'm filming this right before the boot camp. The reason I'm showing this binder is because this is the binder that I used this quarter, although not as much as I would have liked. What I'm going to use this binder for is not my day-to-day HB90 planning, but for all of like the vision work and the goal setting work that you do during the boot camp, all of that's going to go in here. I'm going to use the A5 size and print it out and put it into this A5 binder. This will just be where I keep all of the quarterly work that I do for the HB90 system, but this will not be my planner for work. That was the area I was having trouble deciding. So when I did my evaluation video, when I was doing it just for myself, the thing I came to conclude was that I love the concept of bullet journaling, of rapid logging, but it wasn't working for my personal life because I wanted to do the more decorative stickery type planning, and it just wasn't feeling right to me in a bullet journal. And I did do bullet journal only using the Ryder Carroll method for quite some time. I also knew that I was bouncing from planner to planner system for work, not the HB90 goal setting framework, but the actual day-to-day planner, and struggling because some of them I liked the layout, but I didn't like the cost, or I liked the cost, but the layout wasn't working for me, or it wasn't flexible enough. On top of all of that, one thing I really like is setting up a bullet journal with a cover page and doing like some doodling and fun things like that. Like I liked that aspect of it, but this year my bullet journal was supposed to be like my personal life note-taking. And as I just said, I think I can fit it all in just the one planner. I don't need the bullet journal for that, but I wanted to keep doing it. So work made the most sense. But I like having the structure of a planner for work as well. So doing a straight bullet journal and having to set up every week felt weird to me, but sometimes I like to set up. So I just was like, I wasn't sure how I wanted to do this. Enter the Sterling Ink Common Planner. Before I even get into the reasons why you would expect this was not the planner for me, note that I was making a very specific decision between this planner and the Annie Plans or Estelle Daily Classic B6. I decided to go with the Sterling Ink. We'll talk about this comparison in a minute. Why did I choose to go with a Tomoe River paper B6 planner, knowing that Tomoe River paper is not my favorite paper? I don't like how thin it is. And knowing that this is a very small size, when I actually was starting to go bigger with my bullet journal, I was up into a B5. One thing I learned this year about my work planning is that I don't need a lot of space. I need room to make a to-do list, maybe to track a couple things. It changes from day to day based on what I want to do, but ultimately a bullet journal style could work for me if there was a way to incorporate my HB90 framework in without having to set it up all the time. That was the struggle. These planners offer both a ton of blank pages for daily planning for that looseness, whereas having structure for weeks and months and quarters. That's one of the reasons that these were very appealing to me. I could adapt the already existing setup without having to completely start from scratch, while having the flexibility to do bullet journal style setups if I want to, and to be as fancy or as not fancy on the daily basis as I want to. So that's one of the reasons these appealed to me. The second reason these appealed to me was that I have discovered with work planning that planning on a daily basis, like a daily page, works better for me than like, I want to have a whole page for each day. Having a daily planner with enough pages for the whole day, plus weekly, monthly, and quarterly pages, it is hard to find that with a paper that is not this thin-ass Bible paper bullshit. So that was the reason that I thought that I strongly was considering one of these, even though the paper has not been my favorite in the past, because I can live with it if I get the whole year in one book. And that's what I can get with one of these. I don't think I would want the smaller size for personal, but for work, it's fine. And having the whole year in a multitude of layouts in one book is very important to me, which is why I can live with the paper. So we'll check again in 6 months and see how I'm doing. Now, why did I choose the Sterling Ink over the Annie Plans? Or the Aura Estelle Annie Plans? These are both really cool. They're very similar in terms of quality, like paper quality, binding, everything else. These are very similar. It's the layouts that are different. The big difference is that the Sterling Ink, there's two differences that were important to me. The Annie Plans, which I reviewed in a vlog recently, I'll link that, and I'll link the Sterling Ink review. The Annie Plans has a yearly spread with like columns, months, and then each week there's a week on one page, And then 7 days, week on one page, 7 days, week on one page, 7 days. And that's the whole planner. The Sterling Ink not only has months, but it has quarterly areas that would work really well for adapting the HB90 system. And all of the weeks are at the front, which is not something I normally like. But for my work planner, it's going to work out great because A, I only use it 5 days a week. So I don't want to waste extra pages in here if I don't need them. But because there will be extra pages, I can still do, like at the start of January, I can create a little fun bullet journal setup in this planner and then continue on with my days, but still have a week up at the front to use for tracking and things like that. And if I really want to keep that vertical week on one page layout, I can always draw one in. That's why I changed. The layouts are both great, and I could see myself using either of these. But for this specific purpose, the layout of the Sterling Ink planner to both use for my daily work planning and also to incorporate my quarterly and monthly HB90 stuff, my quarterly, monthly, weekly HB90 stuff, it's going to work really well in here, I think. If you are interested in me doing a setup of this, because I'm going to be doing bullet journal videos every month showing how I set it up for the month, but if you'd like to see quarterly setups of this for HB90, let me know in the comments below. This is what I'm doing this year. And this is not even going to be a main, this is just going to be like the workbooks, basically, that get me through the boot camp. All of the regular work is going to take place in here and in my project management software ClickUp and on my Kanban board. So these two are basically my planners for the year. That's my stack. It's a small stack, but it's a stack I'm excited about. And that's all I have to say about that. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What are you using next year? Are you impressed with my small stack? How long do you give me before this paper makes me want to punt this out the window? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, friends, peace.